Good afternoon, everybody. So glad you can join us today. Well, it's 1 o'clock and we will continue to let people in. Um, but to honor everyone's time, let's get started. Welcome to the February 2026 Curriculum Leaders Update Meeting. We're glad you're able to join us. I'm Mary Trees. We also have Beth Gonzalez here with us, our Deputy Superintendent. And we have a ton of updates for you today. We have a lot of RESA staff here that's going to fill you in. Remember, you will get all of these slides, all of the links. You don't have to worry about taking notes. They'll all be posted on the Curriculum Leaders Update site so that you can go back and revisit any of the information and click on any of the slides, share anything that's here with the rest of your team. We do have updates for February 2026 that was on the last slide. That has even more information from across all departments that will be helpful for many members of your team. Feel free to share widely. And we're going to get started right away with state assessment updates with Cindy, who I know's camera is not working, so we may not get to
Yes.
see Cindy today, but we know she's there and we get to hear from her.
Thank you. I do apologize for the camera issues within Zoom. Um, I apologize. So we're going to move right into our state assessment updates. So for MSTEP and My Access, DRC is now open for MSTEP and My Access, so you can start doing those test administration activities. You can create test sessions, assign accommodations, print test tickets. I have linked there some little modules that MDE has created for those specific tasks. MDE did hold an MSTEP and My Access online administration training the last couple weeks, so those recordings and presentations are linked there. And then all of your manuals have been released. They just most recently released the MSTEP online test directions. So those are all linked as a resource for you. I do want to mention the switch for My Access FI if you're using paper pencil. We talked about this a couple months back, but they switched the My Access FI, anyone who is using paper pencil, not for expressing ideas, but for the other content areas. You do have to create a separate test session for students using the online answer documents. So remember that switch. Students will still put the answers in the answer document, but you are now putting those responses into the DRC platform. So in order to do that, again, you have to create a separate test session for those students, and you have to turn on under their accommodations page, the tab, you have to turn on that OLAD. It's highlighted there in red, so it's one of the first ones. That has to be selected in DRC in order to use that accommodation and support. So there are instructions linked there. Next slide. Some College Board updates for PSAT and SAT. Blue Book will work on Chromebooks only if they're in a verified mode. That is new this year. That is enhanced test security. You have to have it enabled. I have that linked for your technology coordinators, how to make sure that is installed. And then also Test Day Toolkit is open, so students are not in there yet, but you can add staff and rooms if you're doing room turn on. So those can be added now. And then the online required training, the annual training for your coordinators, your proctors, your technology monitor, that is now also available. So test coordinators that were listed in the EEM, they received a link for access. Once test coordinators add staff into Test Day Toolkit, those staff members will receive the link for training, but they are all required to do that testing. That's your technology coordinators, proctors, monitors, and test coordinators. It's optional for your SSD coordinators and your hall and room monitors. They do have a PowerPoint that you could use with them that is linked there. Your state data management system, your SDMS, that is also now available. So the information from SSD accommodations and OEAA are flowing into that SDMS. This is where you force match or waive any accommodation. So you're making everything that came in from SSD is correct. All of that information, those students will then be pulled into test day toolkit. So we're waiting on that end. So right now you're just force matching and waiving accommodations. They have a test coordinator part 2, March 4th. The registration link is there, and they have office hours every Thursday at 2. The one this Thursday will focus on SDMS and Test Day Toolkit if you have questions. And then all their prior webinars and the manuals are linked below. Next slide. Some win updates. They just opened the CRS, the Career Readiness System platform. This is the platform used for test management and the student test platform. The direct login page link is listed there. They did it a little different with access. Instead of using test coordinators that are listed in the EEM under Win Work Readiness, they gave access to anyone in your district in OEAA that has a district or building admin role. So all of those staff members who have a district or building admin role in OEAA received a link for access to Win CRS system. It did not go by EEM for some reason this time. So you cannot add test coordinators directly into the platform. You have to go into OEAA and add the level of role for district admin or building admin in order to get those test coordinators pulled in. Those are for coordinators. If you have access, you received a verification link. That verification link expires in 48 hours if you did not open it. So you would have to contact support to get a new link. You can start adding your testing staff after March 9th. And then a reminder that the technology survey is now open. So there are verification steps that your technology coordinator has to go through to make sure that the platform is installed correctly. Once those steps are done, those are linked there. Once those are done, you then complete the technology survey. That is due March 7th. I have documents to help support the technology coordinator listed there. There are also student tutorials, so you're not going to do a readiness check like you do for College Board, but there are student tutorials that can be viewed. Those are linked there. Those are also available with the test ticket when the window opens directly on the platform, but I have them linked there to kind of save that step during testing. There is the resources for the MDE resource page. They have office hours every Wednesday at 10, and then the test manual has been released. Next slide. Thank you. The 24-25 graduation data has been released on my school data portal. It's just a note that you can access that now. You would go to the K through 12 grade tab, go to students, and then select grad dropout rate. Next link, next slide, I'm sorry. I talked about this a couple months back, but I'm bringing it up again. MyLearn, it provides online access to state assessment results to students, parents, and educators. Even if you just use it for the educator side, you are able to get assessment data. You can see 5 years of assessment reports for all your state assessments, WIDA, MyAccess, PSAT, SAT, MSTEP. All of that pulls in. It's handled through your SIS and My Data Hub. You can see the data flow there. But this data is updated nightly. And if you get a transfer student, you get the assessment results the next day. So a lot of times you're trying to look in OEAA and wait for the PEPI to switch, not until December, to get their data and get their assessment scores to see where the student is. This automatically sends it right to you overnight as soon as the student enrolls. So there are some documents, a whole brochure on expanding access to state assessments. There is a usage survey if you already use it. And then if you want to get a demo or get more information, you can contact John Price at MDE. His email is listed there. Next slide.
And Cindy, just in case you're not checking the chat, lots of love for my Learn in general, but how helpful it
Oh,
is for our multilingual students who might be transferring in.
yes, because you need to see their WIDA access scores. So it's very, very helpful to get it the next day once a student is enrolled. Thank you, Michelle. Just another reminder, the My Student Voice is a free online perception survey. It covers the domains of SEL, belonging, and student engagement. It is quick, 5 to 10 minutes for grades 5 through 12. They have a student survey, an educator survey, and a parent guardian survey. It's fully translated. You get building and district level reports, and you get Wayne RESA support after the survey administration. They have 4 windows, so you can still sign up. The registration link is there. And they have a new report that gives you overall domain scores out of the total in those 3 domains, and then your participation rates that can be posted and shared. Next slide. And just a reminder, if you are part of the Atlas Consortium, we do have an Atlas Curriculum Collaboration Day scheduled for March 25th at Ted Scott. This is 8 to 4. It's a free event, and then the registration link is there.
Thank you, Cindy. Before we dive into the literacy updates, I just want to remind everybody that we're putting the link in the chat. That'll take you right to the site where all of the slides are archived. We're also recording, so if there's any part of this that you want to re-listen to or share with staff members or colleagues, you'll have access to that. And that also is a benefit to our colleagues who are not able to make it today. So thank you, Cindy. Any questions for Cindy? Throw them in the chat. Otherwise, you have her contact information and know how to get a hold of her. We're going to dive into early literacy updates with Carrie Fromm.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of updates about PA 146 and the dyslexia law. Just a reminder that the literacy assessment list is going to be updated in March of this year. So they have put out a call for more companies to come forward and to be reviewed. So that should be out anytime in the next few weeks. And we'll keep you posted about that. The other thing we wanted to highlight in the dyslexia law is the training information. So, as part of the law, it states that by the beginning of the 27-28 school year, school districts, intermediate school districts, and public school academies have to provide assurance to MDE that all of their literacy consultants, literacy coaches, and other personnel providing reading intervention or reading instruction to students in K 12 have had an opportunity to receive professional learning around best practices and dyslexia. And they have called out the following 6 things that the training must have and must be a part of. You should have received a information about what can be used and what resources could be a part of it. At RESA, we want to support you with this work. So next slide, please. We're looking at, oops, I'm sorry. This kind of got a little bit out of order. So can we go to the next slide real quick? Okay, and we'll come back to the other one. Thank you. We want to talk about providing some countywide learning around the requirements inside the law on election day next year, which is November 3rd. Oops, that says 2027. It is 2026. Let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. And we want to make sure that we're providing some opportunities for your staff to learn about dyslexia and structured literacy. And so, one of the things we'd like to do is ask you if you could throw it in the chat is on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is us providing countywide learning in a virtual format to your staff on November 3rd? So if you would put 1, not important, 10, it would be super important to your staff. We'd love to gauge what that looks like. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of people 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, what does help with the lift. So what we're going to do is Michelle threw in a survey, or you can use your camera. Um, yeah, so the topics, Heather put in that as long as it includes other topics besides PA 146, it would really be about the requirements that were listed on the previous slide, which include the practices around structured literacy that they're talking about. If you would take a minute, we're going to give you just about 2 minutes. You shouldn't need any more than that. Is we're just trying to gauge what you would be looking for inside of this training. We've been in contact with 2 presenters so far. Dr. Holly Lane, who is a professor at the University of Florida. She just presented last week in front of Congress. And another presenter that we've had the opportunity to work with through my MTSS and the dyslexia learning group this year. So if you could just take that survey really briefly, Michelle just threw it back into the chat. I will stop talking for about a minute or two and just let us know. You're not making a final commitment. We're really just gauging how much interest there is around it. I see, can the sessions be recorded? So one of the things that we're looking at is we're asking the presenters, that's, for them, if they are willing to do that, that we could maybe allow access for that day. The other thing is we're talking about, as our own staff, creating options that would be asynchronous and that would be virtual and live, so that your staff would have an opportunity to do either.
And Carrie, I did want to clarify one thing. So we are talking specifically about literacy-focused professional learning on
Mhm.
November 3rd. There will be other options available through RESA's broader organization. There will be other
Mhm.
options available, but for the purposes of this conversation today, we're just looking at literacy.
And Heather, the sessions won't be will be curriculum resource agnostic. We're talking about what dyslexia is, how we're looking at what the law asks us to provide training on, and how that can look in anybody's curriculum, so that you're thinking about what are best practices, you're looking at best practices in assessment, understanding what dyslexia is, secondary consequences of it, all of those things that the law has asked us to look at. So again, that doesn't include just all learning about dyslexia. It includes what the state is considering best practices inside of structured literacy. So please take a moment and thank you for doing that. And we will get back to you. You are not making a commitment. If you say, yes, we're interested, we're just going to be in touch with you and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. How can we best support you? So if we can go back a slide, I'm sorry, somehow this got out of order. Yes, right here. So if you are looking at, we still have another day of the dyslexia awareness, instructional strategies and policy implications. It is Thursday, March 12th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it will talk about an overview of dyslexia. It's great for our leaders, our coaches, um, uh, like grade level leads, those type of people, just so that we're starting to build our capacity around this topic and what the law states and what we're being asked to do. Okay, next slide, please. There we go. So I also just wanted to give you some updates that we heard from one of the state representatives around the 35M grant. Just a reminder that your first reporting requirement is March 30th, 2026. We want to remind you that this is a grant that cannot be carried over past September 30th. So everything has to be spent by that date. Also, you must select items off of the approved 35M grant list, not the PA 146 list. Those are 2 different things. So they updated, the PA 146 has additional resources on it. that the 35M grant does not. You have to pick things that are off the 35M grant list. Um, Please reference the FAQs, which are linked in the slides, to answer questions on allowable expenses. And please don't hesitate to email at about literacy dyslexia. They will get right back to you and tell you yes or no. And if you have questions about kind of interpreting what they're saying, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and we can support you with that as well. I do want to let you know that in this past budget, 35M got another bucket of money. They are planning on putting out that money in May, the application for that grant. Even if you received money this year, you can absolutely receive money for the following year for continued purchase of the same resource or for a different resource. They are also considering adding the cost of the dyslexia screeners as part of that. That is not finalized, but they told us that they are looking at doing that. Okay, next slide, please. And I would just want to share a couple of learning opportunities for you. If you have coaches that have not had the opportunity or leaders to participate in cognitive coaching, we still have a few spaces left for our spring cohort. You can find the registration through our catalog or through the QR code. And there's also a link in the presentation. Next slide, please. Also, adaptive school training is scheduled for April. We have a few spots left in that. That is a great training if you've not had an opportunity for leaders, people providing professional learning, coaches to take part in. It will be right here at Wayne RESA, and it really talks about the best practices and how we go about providing professional learning and dealing with groups. And personally, I had the opportunity to take it, and it was pretty life-changing in terms of how I thought about professional learning. So if you're able to, we highly recommend it. Next slide, please. So there are a couple of other opportunities about professional learning that are out there. I talked about the first one about dyslexia awareness. There's also a PD coming up about exploring the dyslexia handbook. So Michigan has put together, if you haven't had the opportunity to see it, a beautiful handbook that talks about what dyslexia is, MTSS. And two of my colleagues are going to be running some sessions around that are really beneficial. And finally, if you'd like to learn more about the structured literacy, my MTSS is running a lovely series that even if you can't attend at the times that are there, they will send you all of the recordings of the sessions. And they're really worthwhile to really kind of solidify your understanding of what structured literacy is. Yes, Ms. Wood, yes. To clarify, if you did not participate in the 35M this year, you will be able to apply for it when the next round comes around. If you didn't, you can. If you have, you can. Anybody will be able to apply for it. And again, it will come off the 35M list. Okay, next slide. Oh, I'm going to turn it over to my secondary colleagues. And I will let them take over. Thank you.
I can step in here for as far as secondary literacy updates. Next slide. First of all, you are all probably familiar now with the Wayne County Promise that all of our superintendents have signed. I don't know why that's blank there, but it's meant to indicate.
That circle should be transparent to
Yes.
indicate the alignment to that part of our promise. We promise to practice, but I'm not really sure why it's doing that.
Yeah, it's not on the slide deck I'm looking at, so we'll correct
Same.
that. But that was meant to indicate disciplinary literacy is an important part of our Wayne County Literacy Promise, and that's why it's circled. We wanted to share with you some ways that we are supporting disciplinary literacy in Wayne County. We know how important it is for our adolescent learners to remain engaged. We want to make sure that we're providing grade level, engaging, affirming, and meaningful instruction and instructional experiences, learning experiences for those students. And so we're really leaning in. Many of you may have attended our Diverse History Summit last year. This is kind of a counterpart to that, though we don't quite have the funding available for this particular event, but the learning is still going to be amazing. Disciplinary literacy in action. We're really zeroing in on place, problem, and project-based learning, knowing how important it is to really grab the engagement and investment of our secondary students. We have an amazing keynote with Dr. David Kirkland and Valerie Dragon. It's just going to be an amazing day. And if you look at the artwork there, that's actually a local artist from Detroit who will be present there as well. We actually have a call for proposals right now. So if you are doing amazing work in your district around this area, we would love to hear from you, and maybe even have you engage as part of a presentation in a breakout session at our conference. Either way, we would love to have you register. Next slide, please. Looking ahead at offerings for secondary literacy, we started a secondary coaching network this past year. Beth and Dr. Colbert had asked superintendents and PSA leaders to invest in hiring secondary coaches, right? Because we're able to fund the literacy coaches and a lot of work in the literacy realm. How do we continue to support our secondary and educators and our adolescent learners at that level? If you're interested, that's going to be heavily focused on 3P. If you didn't get a chance to participate, we've had a great time with that this year. Supporting secondary reading instruction is going to be a big focus for us, and secondary literacy, taking literature outside. All of these things are meant to engage our secondary adolescent learners. Next slide, please. Article of the month, what's hot in secondary literacy. This article of the month, if you want to click there, you can find some interesting things to read to stay current with what's happening in the realm of secondary literacy. Next. And that takes us to my family updates. And I don't think Melissa's here, but we can drop the link to our My Family site in the chat if anybody would like updates from our My Family consultant. And social studies, I believe John Ferris is here, but he's actually doing some work around inquiry with some teachers right downstairs today, so I can give some updates here. Oh, making geography come alive, talking about engaging 3P kinds of things. This is always a good thing. Support our learners around geography learning. There's a link there. If you're interested in learning more about that, that's in conjunction with the Michigan Geographic Alliance. Building engagement in social studies. This is really important. These are really 3P. Engaging students in civic life is really important, not only history, but civic life. So there's some opportunities there, especially for your secondary instructors. And science.
I can go ahead and speak to this.
Thank you.
So if we can go to the next slide. So we have an exciting opportunity for Open SciEd, which is it is an open resource, which means it's offered to you at no cost. So really the only costs that come into play are for the training and for the materials themselves. Our science team really endorses this for middle school curriculum. So if you go on to the next slide, we just want to let you know about some training opportunities so that you're aware for your staff and able to take advantage of them. There are links within the slide deck, which if you're listening live, you have access to right now. If you happen to be listening to the recording, resa.net/curriculum leaders takes you to all of the resources from today. You'll have access there as well. So it's $200 an educator to join. You can see there that there are 4 days of professional learning. One question we get asked a lot is, do my teachers need to come to all 4 days? And what our team is saying is you are welcome to come to all 4 days, but we really need 6th grade teachers there on day 1 and day 4. Seventh grade teachers there on day 2 and day 4, and then eighth grade teachers there on day 3 and day 4. So obviously, if they're teaching multiple grades, they would want to be there on multiple days, but just so that that's hopefully as convenient as possible. So definitely something to take advantage of if you're looking for those curricular resources that really support students in science. Next. Another really exciting professional learning opportunity that's coming next year is this one article, 1 hour. And this sounds very similar to what our disciplinary literacy team is doing as well, really giving teachers a chance to engage with high quality literature and have some discussions around that. So just wanted to put that on your radar so that you're aware as more information comes out that this is a professional learning opportunity specifically designed for your science teachers. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Kaylin Willaten, a multilingual consultant at Wayne RESA. Glad to see you all here. So the first thing we wanted to talk to you about was considerations for Ramadan this year. Hopefully you're aware that Ramadan began last week on February 18th. It can vary a little bit on calendars, but most of them are saying right now that it's going to end on March 19th, which means that there is a huge day of celebration on the 20th, Eid al-Fitr, and which in English we often just refer to as Eid, if that helps. And we have some great resources. These links lead to some great resources about what to do, what to say, what not to say, and other considerations, and they're available on the slide deck. The biggest thing is to know that many students are fasting, right, from dawn to sunset during this very sacred and also celebratory month. And so their needs are going to be very different from normal, right? Um, it's very good to have them have another space to be when food is around, lunchtime and other times, so that they feel comfortable. Um, Physical activity, PE, any kind of other kinds of activities they might be involved in, it's going to be different. And then the biggest thing probably for academics is being aware how you schedule major assessments. So for instance, the WIDA access test, what Michigan has done last year, this year, and next year, because Ramadan falls in the WIDA access testing window, is they've been extending it so that there's plenty of time to test students. Right now, if you have not tested your Muslim students or any student who celebrates Ramadan, I would not do it until after the 20th. Just to be able to have them perform at their best. Even younger students who aren't fasting are, participating in iftar and the other celebrations that happen after sunset. And so they might be on a bit of a different schedule, and their sleep schedule might not be quite as regular as it is during the rest of the year. So anyway, check out those guides for a lot more ideas on how to be thoughtful and considerate and really make students feel that they belong in your community. Next slide, please. So this is all about program evaluation. So every year, districts or LEAs are required annually to submit a program evaluation. This is usually done with their Section 1 report. If you did not take Section 41 funds, though, you still have to submit this. I was actually in a meeting earlier today about all of this might be moving to the consolidated app, but I don't have any information on that, and that will be a big question in the fall. So it's not basically like right now we're just going to discuss what to have, and in about 6 months we'll discuss where to place it. The big thing for program evaluation in the multilingual world are the Title III monitoring indicators. And MDE has asked that this year districts and PSAs focus on Title III Monitoring Indicator 18, which we lovingly call Comprehensive High School. It's basically evaluating EL access to comprehensive high school programs. So MDE has a lot of resources on this. They had 2 webinars and other things, which I really, really encourage you to take a look at, and that's linked there. Now, the big deal is for us as a RESA, we are co-hosting and co-sponsoring and co-leading with Washington on April 30th an afternoon of technical assistance around this. So the idea would be, ideally, you'll have chosen your focus area or areas within Indicator 18. And again, this is linking to resources that will help you do that and bringing any kind of data that you can collect around it so that you can really take advantage as a collaborative team. So you'd want your EL or multilingual team or some representation there, some representation from all areas that are pertinent. It'd be great if there were a counselor there. It'd be great if we had some high school administrators, some central administrators. But kind of get a team together and come join us because we are really planning that day. The reason I'm really pushing the MDE resources is because on that day, it's not a training. We're not spending 3 hours training. We're going to spend about 30 minutes of kind of review and common learning, and then you're just going to get right down and work on your area of focus. And we're there to answer questions and, to be thought partners and to support in any way we can. And we are also hoping that Kelly Alvarez from MDE will be able to join us that day. And we haven't got complete confirmation on that, but I think we're about, 99% sure she'll be able to make it as well. And that's all. Thank you.
Can I just pipe in for a second before we toss it to special education? And actually, Anna, if you could quickly refresh the deck and go back one slide. I just wanted to shout out and appreciate our multilinguals team's efforts in working in collaboration with Washtenaw ISD and Merck. And I share this, obviously, this session took place last night. And the information was shared widely by our superintendent with your superintendents. But I had an opportunity to attend last night and just the information that was shared, it was very matter of fact. It was very informative in terms of the current state of things. And insightful in terms of resources that are available to you. And so just wanted to re-elevate in this deck and the materials that we have, the different resources that our team has previously shared with you related to supporting our families that might be facing immigration enforcement. And that is what the conversation really focused on last night was enforcement. And just wanting to re-elevate that what an incredible resource Merck can be for you or any families that you are engaging with that are facing issues like this. And they did one thing that was shared, which was interesting to me. And I don't know how frequently this has happened, but they did cite at least one example where a family had been pursuing for some time green card status. So this one parent was a legalized American citizen born in the country, much like myself or many of you. Their spouse has been seeking legal status for some time. And they were invited to a green card appointment, which to them they were viewing as a positive sign of progress. But instead, when they arrived, they were both arrested and do have children. And then, of course, the children did fortunately go to family because of emergency contact cards at the school and that kind of thing. So just understanding the current state of things and how that might impact families and helping them to prepare. So just want to shout out our team for the great work they've done in this space. And then just continue to emphasize to all of you that Merck is there as a resource to each of you, depending obviously on the makeup of your community or how frequent this is hitting you and the families that you serve. So just added that slide. I hope that's okay. And
That's
Kaylin,
brilliant.
you were there
Thank
last night.
you.
Just thank you so much.
Thank you. And that first resource, all those resources are great, but that first one is one that we did create in conjunction with a lot of you last year. And it's got some great things like templates to come up with your own district protocol, like leveraging things like FERPA. It's all about keeping students and their families safe. And we have a lot of school policy and legislation that applies to everybody that we can leverage to do that. Thank you so much, Beth.
Yeah,
Kaylin,
thank
was
you.
that session recorded last night?
No, we don't record those sessions. However, there should be another one, I believe, on April 9th. So check well, we put these so our team, and we're happy to put you on any listserv you want. We send out to our network, but we always put everything also in the superintendent updates, and we try to get it into these meetings and things like that too. So, and feel free to widely distribute through all your networks, I guess is my message, because we want you to get the information.
And if there's a demand before April, if we have a set of districts that are interested, we can also partner with Mark to set up something additional. So thanks, team. And sorry, now we can toss it to Kate for our special education updates. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. I'm Kate Pearson. I'm the Essential Elements Consultant at Wayne RESA for the special education team. If you might have heard, we had some surprising news that we learned about this month that Everway was going to be purchasing Teachtown, and we've been piloting Teachtown across our Act 18 programs across Wayne County in about 19 different school districts, but many of you have also purchased Teachtown for your non-Act 18. So you may have heard of this merge between Everway and Teachtown. We don't have a lot of information at this time. It's brand new. They just announced it. We've spoken to the Teachtown team. Things still are not in the final stages legally. So they're still working on that merge between the two companies. But we just want to, again, kind of let you know that this is happening. It's brand new, but we are operating with Teachtown business as usual. There is going to be no changes to anything related to their platform during the 2026 school year. And we're hoping that we're just going to receive updated communication as their merge takes place. We're also going to be talking to our special education directors and supervisors during our next coordinating council meeting in March to talk to our special ed directors and admin teams regarding the merge. But again, we're operating business as usual. Nothing is currently changing. We still are focusing and supporting Teachtown in our classrooms, but I just wanted to highlight this change, and it is occurring as we speak. So thank you. Next slide. We are really excited about year 2 pilot of our Wayne County My Access Social Studies Support Independence and Participation Level Assessment. As many of you know, the state MDE offers a functional independence version for My Access Social Studies, but they do not include the support independence and participation levels. So our team at RESA has been working on this assessment. We piloted it for year 1 last school year, and we are going to complete our year 2 pilot. We formed a committee made up of different special education teachers and administrators across 8 different districts. We've made improvements since year 1 based off stakeholder feedback. We completed a survey and then had committee sessions in order to kind of revamp and make the necessary changes needed. We also presented this assessment at the Michigan School Testing Conference this month. Jen, Joe, Cindy, and I were there, and we actually had a lot of interest by a lot of other districts and counties because, as you know, this is a requirement made by the state for districts to have kind of their own locally created assessment given to students, but there's just a lot of inequity and a lack of consistency across classrooms and across districts for what they're using. So we're just really excited for this year 2 pilot so that we can take the data, compare between year 1 and year 2. Also, Joe and Cindy are working really hard to kind of establish that inter-rater reliability and validity of the assessment as a whole. And we're just hoping that we can expand and open up this assessment in the coming years to not only our students and our teachers across Wayne County, but possibly in other counties across the state. So right now it's Act 18 only. This is going to take place for Pilot 2 this school year during the testing assessment season, but I just wanted to highlight the work that is happening. It's really cool. Next slide. We did get hit pretty hard with special education, just new and updated guidance from MDE. They released a lot of documents this month, so I just wanted to highlight those updated guidance that MDE sent out. The first one was counseling as a related service. The second document was the successfully navigating virtual education for students with IEPs, and they also came out with a fact sheet. We have another one, the individualized education program, the IEP team roles and responsibilities document was updated. We also have the measurable annual goals and short-term objectives guidance, and then understanding the requirements of prior written notice. So those were sent out this month, so I just wanted to highlight their release here if you haven't received them already. Next slide, please. We do have, again, some upcoming community of practice and PD opportunities within our special education department. I highlighted some of this in previous sessions here, but we do have a few more sessions left of our Resource Fridays. We still have March, April, and May, which take place on the second Friday of the month from 8 to 9 a.m. Our assistive technology team is holding a Universal Design for Learning and Assistive Technology PD on March 24th. So that's coming up next month as well. And then a few of us are a part of the Wayne County Special Education HIV and Sex Education Community of Practice. We've had two meeting sessions so far, which have been great. The last session we really focused in on sex ed curriculum for students with special needs. So our last session is coming up on April 16th. So please feel free to share this information with your appropriate team members. Next slide. And again, I wanted to highlight a couple more opportunities for your team. Coming up in March, we have the supporting exclusive executive functioning in the classroom PD that's happening. In April, we have from data to goals, writing effective secondary IEP goals training. And then lastly, our assistive technology team on Tuesday, March 4th, has a session called Exploring Built-in Accessibility Tools in Microsoft. So again, if any of these sessions interest some of your team, please feel free to share them.
Thanks, Kate. We're actually going to jump ahead in the agenda a bit. So, Anna, if you bring us to slide 46 and 47, I see that Mike Latvis has arrived. And I don't know how many of you know this, but today was Governor Whitmer's State of the State. There's so much going on. He's been in Lansing, but he's made time to join us. So definitely want to open up the floor to Mike. Thanks for being here, Mike, with everything going on today.
Absolutely. Thanks. Sorry, I apologize for not being available at one when I usually give my update. Yeah, as Beth said, the state of stage addresses this evening. So the K-12 Alliance actually hosts a lunch for superintendents and legislators. So I've been at that and talking to legislators and getting a sense of what's going on, what's gonna be said, and what's going on with the budget and what's gonna be said tonight. So obviously we're not really dealing with much policy at this point. I think last time I told you that we were about to pass or had already passed the ban on the cell phone bill, which bans cell phones during instructional time K through 12. Since then, we really haven't had much policy to deal with. I've been sharing with a number of folks that at this point, I'm pretty much just sharing, hey, this bill got introduced. Here's what it does. We're not going to have to worry or talk about this until lame duck after the general election, and we'll probably forget what it is and what it does by then. But I'm flagging it now. And that seems to be where we're headed, just in terms of policy, which I don't think is a bad thing. Certainly good for us to not have to be dealing and screwing around with policy, especially in in a split legislature. On the other side of things, obviously the budget is always is always our main focus around this time of year, and this year is no different. You'll see on the screen that I've included the highlights of the governor's executive budget recommendations. I'm not going to read through all of them. Obviously, the foundation is going to go up to 10,300. The next four bullets are part of the governor's literacy initiative of what she plans on doing. I'm told tonight that the governor has announced that her literacy funding or their efforts are going to be. I think what I was told by the legislator was that they're going to call it Everybody Reads, or something like that, or Everyone Can Read. So apparently we spent time trying to figure out what we're going to name our literacy efforts in Michigan. So that's always helpful. Outside of that, I mean, really, this budget is pretty ho-hum budget. It's okay. The most frustrating piece about this budget is that the governor's proposal, it pulls an additional $540 million out of school aid and shifts it to higher ed in order to free up general funding that is currently funding higher ed, and so that the state can have some money on the general fund side. Obviously, we have always been opposed to that. We continue to be opposed to that, and are bringing, are sounding the alarm bells on that. If the governor's proposal goes through, that would be nearly $1 billion in this current year budget, and then what the governor is proposing that is being shifted away from K-12 schools in order to fund higher ed. What the governor's proposing, there's a what is most concerning is probably the fact that not, it's part of this there's a couple different buckets where this money has been going to. Well, we already fully fund the community colleges out of out of the school aid budget. We fund in terms of higher ed, some of their operational budget. But now about half of the $539 million that is being pulled is going into scholarships, which is essentially a black hole with no true limit. And so they can just continue to do this and treat the school aid fund as the state's piggy bank as we move forward. And we are, I know our superintendents, myself, others, my counterparts are going to be pushing hard to limit the amount that actually gets shifted out of this budget. Part of my focus of what I am proposing moving forward is to at least have the number that the governor is proposing and put those into two separate areas. One, reinstate Section 147A, which was a $100 million offset for MIPSR's offset for districts, and put the remainder in the foundation allowance. The 2.5% that is being proposed by the governor is about a point and a half short of an actual inflationary increase. And what I've been sharing with legislators and appropriators is that if we keep this at 2.5%, we will have gone 3 years without an actual inflationary increase. And it's not like our costs are being decreased at all. They're only increasing. So, the frustration being of they're going to go out there after they pass a budget and say that we're providing rec funding to schools. But in the sense of an actual economic conversation, schools are actually receiving less than an inflationary increase. So that is a lot of what we're going to be focused on. The money for school safety and mental health is continued at $300 million. It unfortunately continues the language requiring that districts waive privilege, as well as agree to a state investigation to a mass casualty mass casualty event. That language hasn't changed. Already having conversations with legislators in the Senate and the House about either removing that or actually changing it. In this current budget, we only had between both LEAs and PSAs, I think about a third of the entities in the state accepted the funding. So we're still waiting on the courts to see on the appellate court to see where it decides on the constitutionality of this language, and then we'll kind of gauge where we go with the legislature on that. As far as timing, I will share. I think it sounds like the Senate budget is going to be done by the end of March, which will be put out of committee and voted out of the Senate by the end of April. And then I'm hoping, I don't have a firm grasp on what the House is planning yet, but I'm hoping the House has kind of the same timeline planned out in their heads as well, all to get a budget done by July 1st. While I do believe that they will have a budget done by the July 1st, my main concern at this point is the kind of the sudden desire to change how property taxes in the state of Michigan, how we address that. We've seen the governor kind of come out in her executive budget recommendation with a small property tax credit for seniors. The House Republicans have come out with a plan that essentially would, I mean, it's always a tax shift, right? Because you're getting rid of specific taxes. But both, this plan would get rid of the set, which would cause would result in a hole in the school aid fund. They are going to backfill it, they say, with a tax on kind of like high-end services. So I think some of the things that they've pointed out this morning in their proposal is private jets or private jet travel would be taxed. So you guys can no longer your private jet travel will get taxed at a higher rate now. Golf would get taxed higher, or golf would be taxed. Skiing, some other weird things as well. So my concern in all this, I know, Monica, and less private jet travel is, how will we survive? The problem in that is that all of the things that they are talking about does not equate to the $4.7 billion that they believe it will raise. So there's two concerns there. One is that they're going to create a hole in the state's budget, which will impact schools. And the other piece of it is into the timing of getting the budget done. If they're dead set on getting a property tax bill in place, my concern is that we go through the same process as we did last year, where they said during the roads debate that they couldn't do a school aid budget, even though it was done, until the roads deal was finalized, and that's what got us into October. I'm concerned that we're heading down the same road, although with it being a general election year, they all want to get out of town to go and knock doors and campaign. So I'm still holding hope and still believe that we'll get a budget done by July 1st, but that is my concern. I see someone asked in the chat about to talk about at risk and higher ed. Yes, the governor's recommendation does follow the SFRC recommendation to um, shift at risk and ELL into the foundation and create a true weighted formula. The districts will see, and superintendents just got last night a district by district report in terms of what it would mean, what all of these funding changes would mean in their district, and within the governor's executive recommendation. Every district is coming out ahead in these areas from what I can tell. No one is receiving any decrease in funding. Overall, it is a good shift to be heading towards the path of a true weighted formula. I think I can say, right? I've had a few conversations with Darren Camilleri about this, and he he likes the he likes the idea of a weighted foundation, but at the same time, he also said, would I freak out if we put more money in at risk and ELL? So it might not be a true weighted formula, but we'll have to see. The 31A language, I'm still kind of reviewing that. It does look like, so essentially it kept 31A in part. I can't remember off the top of my head what two pieces are remain as 31A, but it removed the actual boilerplate that was 31A over to 164M in the governor's budget. Some of the stuff that was in section 164K last year, or this current budget year, which was if you're using literacy curriculum that isn't aligned with the state's literacy, I think it's the state's literacy or MDE's literacy commission, you have to send a letter to parents saying why you're not, what you're using, and blah, 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 blah. It does appear that in the new boilerplate, they have more streamlined kind of 31A. I do believe that you'll still have the ability to spend as you have in the past, but that is why those changes are being made. The boilerplate in section 41 is staying where it is. Um, and that really, there is no changes to that boilerplate. That boilerplate is staying the same. Hope that answered your question, Stacy.
Just one more clarifying, because I know last year they talked about rolling everything into essentially like a block grant for per pupil.
Mhm.
So you're still saying the at-risk funds would be meant for at-risk
Correct.
activities, not rolled into a general fund, not into the foundation allowance as a whole.
Correct. So the money is rolling through that,
Okay.
but in 22, I think they created 22B, so essentially 22B. So let's say, if you have, I mean, the weights are still weighted as it was previous or recommended previously through WIDA, all the way up to I think 3.9. And depending on how many kids you have that match into that, that's what that those weights would dictate your funding, and you will get that money in 22B. So yeah, this is not a let's roll everything up situation like it was last year where we were concerned.
Perfect. That
This
was my
essentially,
concern. Okay.
yeah, this still has it's statutorily in at risk, and EL funding is there. It's just they're distributing it differently.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Um, trying to think. I'll just share at the end here. The State of the State address. We're not going to hear anything that you already probably don't know or haven't heard. The governor's going to be touching on literacy, as I said. She's going to be naming the literacy efforts to as everyone reads or something like that. As I said previously, and from what I understand, is going to kind of be talking about her education legacy in terms of the funding that they provided over the last number of years. So nothing crazy new that we're going to hear tonight that we didn't already know. So um, I'm happy to stop there and answer any additional questions.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you and enjoy your long day ahead. A lot
Thanks.
going on. All right. Safe and healthy schools. Thanks, Terry, for your patience.
No problem, no problem at all. Just one quick update for you today. We have been over the last couple of years increasing our support around school safety and school threat assessment. We have, as an extension of that work, created communities of practice that were separate. And we this last year added prepare workshops, which cover mental health and prevention through recovery content around school safety. And so next year, we are going to combine the communities of practice into one comprehensive school safety community of practice. We're starting to see that we have a lot of overlap in the folks that attend the different communities of practice following their attendance at the various training sessions. So what we're asking for is for some updated contact information for anybody that's involved in any element of school safety or school threat assessment. There's a link on the slide here. If you could complete that, if you are one of those people, and also share it with other folks in your district so that we are ready to go and able to share dates for the community of practice for next year. That would be really helpful to us and hopefully helpful to your districts too. And that's all I'm sharing today. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? Thanks so much. I know I'm going to wrap up quickly here at the end. We are coming on, or we are approaching the carryover time, right? So right now, I know that you guys are busy in your consolidated applications and that you're uploading all of those resource documents and that you are adding in perhaps a few new line items while also amending some other line items. And if you need help or support, know that we are here for you. And please feel free to give me a call. I've worked with several state and federal grant managers over the past few weeks. So if something's going on with the consolidated application and you'd like to meet, I'm always here for you. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you are aware. Thanks everyone for giving me your time.
I think this brings us to the end of our agenda. Just want to express gratitude to each of you who made time to join and for the team for everything they prepared. We know it's a lot of information, but also helpful sometimes just to come into the space and get to hear it directly versus have to read and consume all of it independently. And as I always say, we don't anticipate you'll act on all of this, but maybe, one thing sparked something that was like, that is exactly what I needed. That's what we aspire toward. With that, I'll hand it to Mary to close us out. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Beth. I just want to say thank you to everybody for your time and attention. And as always, let us know how we can best support you. You have the slide deck. We'll send out the recording. That way you can listen again, share the information with your colleagues and staff members. And we just appreciate you being here today. Have a lovely afternoon.